All right, so we're kicking that off. So everyone here would love to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. How many people interviewed today? Anybody have an interview today? I got one person. Why aren't the rest of you raising your hands? I'm interviewing right now. You're judging me based on this presentation, based on any interaction you have. So whether I'm formally interviewing or not, my reputation is on the line. My skills, my value to you or your organization, now or sometime in the future, is what's happening. So you have a choice. You can take positive control of your career, your marketing, and your image and put it to work for you every minute of the day. Or you can sit back, for everybody except for Tom, and let it kind of flow along until that formal moment. So what we want to start with is a few ground rules. So first, I already know this content. This is stuff that worked for me, things that may or may not work for you. So please participate. Please ask questions. Really want this to be an engaging session. This may not be for everybody. This isn't going to work in all circumstances. So anytime you were making a change, it is great to consult your peers, a coach or advice, or a doctor before starting any exercise program. Also, the views that I'm expressing here are my opinions and mine alone and may not represent any group that I currently am employed by, so they disavow any knowledge or responsibility for this presentation. No animals were harmed during the creation of this presentation. And for those of you that are tweeting, you're welcome to connect with me on Twitter. It's @HansEckman. If you're unfamiliar, then the hashtag PMOT is project management on Twitter. It is a universal hashtag that lets you find all the discussions that are going around all throughout the world about project management, best practices, articles, events that are going on, and also make sure and follow PMI Atlanta. Use your organization's Twitter feed to see what's going on and coming up. So, how many people would love it if they got to start a project and see the final recap, see the final results before you even started, and know exactly what's going to happen and how it turns out? Not really? Might be too scary. It's kind of like getting the answers to the final exam before it happens. So I'm going to do that here, which is I'm going to give you the conclusions. And the first one is, marketing is an exploitation of your uniqueness. We're going to go into more detail on all these, but please keep these in mind and see if you agree with me at the end. Self-marketing needs to be part of everything you do every day, because it is whether you realize it or not. So again, positive control over your image. And you need to start focusing on what value you present, what value you provide that sets you apart, and connect that value personally with everybody that you contact. Also, for those that are furiously taking notes, a full version of this presentation is available for download right now on my website, and PMI has the ability to load it to their library too. So if you go to hanseckman.com under presentations, you're able to download a PDF version of it. So please feel free to use it any way you can. So what is marketing? There's only one reason why we buy anything. Who can tell me what that is? Why do we buy? Why do we make a purchase?
We like it.
We like it? Okay. You need it, you want it, so there has to be some reason, because you're exchanging valuable money in exchange for something. What else? There's one core reason. Do we buy everything we need or want? No. Why not? It's the value. We have to exchange and make sure that we're coming out ahead. We're exchanging time or money in exchange for value. So it's the perceived value of what you're getting. And really, that's what employment is. An employer, a job, a project, a manager is choosing you because you're going to provide a value that exceeds the organizational investment, the investment the team's going to put on, and any compensation you have. They've got to get more value out of that than they're putting in. That's why they're going to make a choice. So what is marketing? Who can tell me what marketing is? I'll give you a hint because this happens every time. Go ahead.
Presentation of a product.
Okay, it could be a presentation. That's a good example of a product. This was one of the conclusions I gave you. So starting off, I already gave you the answer.
Exploitation of your uniqueness.
Absolutely. Thank you. Marketing is the exploitation of your uniqueness. So first, the only way you're going to express value is that's value compared to any other options that someone has. So you've got to figure out what is it that makes you unique. How many project managers, because this is the bulk of the people here, have great communication skills? Well organized, detail oriented, focus on schedule, tasks, responsibility, on time. How many people have that in their resume as a uniqueness? But everybody in this room has that same uniqueness, so it's not very unique. So not only do you have to find the uniqueness, you've got to exploit it. You've got to turn that into your brand. You've got to have something that people recognize. I can tell you, the people that if I needed a large, complicated program, who the best PMs I've worked with are. If I need somebody for a process-focused BA position, I know the person that stands out. Not that they don't have both of them have all the other skills and could manage other projects, but I know what they do exceptionally well and better than anyone else I've seen. So what makes successful marketing? First, it's got to be unique. Second, it's got to connect with the audience. It's got to be something that they understand. If they don't understand it, then how are they going to perceive the value? And the last thing, and this is the biggest mistake everybody makes in their career, and anybody who is in sales makes, they don't close the deal. There's no call to action. There's no desired outcome. So when you're marketing yourself, when somebody sees your LinkedIn profile, what is the action you want them to take? Do they want, in my case, I want people to come and book me as a speaker because I love doing this stuff. I want people to offer me a cool job or a cool opportunity or new opportunities. So that has to be part of my call to action where it fits. Same thing's true internally. I try hard not to be seen as the person who can recover failing projects because I just don't like doing it. I mean, it's just, some people are good at it, some people thrive on that chaos. I'm past that point in my career. So, why is marketing important? What we don't realize is that our image is out there, and maybe it's not sending the message. How many people would love to try it today with this skincare product? This was approved. There was probably a large committee and 17 levels of approval that are well documented in the project plan and whatever the system of record is, and this made it through. So that is also what's happening to a lot of people's careers and their marketing. They think they're giving one image, and they may be giving the opposite one. Well, what about people's value proposition? Why is it that you're important? What is the value, and what is maybe falling a little bit short in that message? And regardless of how much we think that's important, it's not necessarily the fact of the value or what we know it to be, but it's the perceived value. It is the perception of the marketing message that really changes the impact. Anybody want to fly this airline? I always hate doing this because almost always there's some sort of air disaster that happened the week before, and thankfully that hasn't happened on this one. So the first part of it is you really got to start by knowing who you are, knowing what sets you apart. So do you think you're just a degree? Do you have an MBA and you're just going to say MBA? Here's a job history and here's the dates I worked and that's it? Or maybe I'm just a collection of skills. Can you imagine applying for a job or applying for a new group or applying for a project and all they were going to look at was the names of the companies you worked for, the dates you worked there, and what your job title is? I mean, but that's kind of what we feel sometimes when we're even applying for internal jobs. And the same thing's true, and more likely we try and do it with our collection of skills. We get these nice long bulleted lists of everything I do, but how many of those items are selling ourselves short? So when you think about that, if you're marketing yourself based on skills, based on task-oriented things, you're positioning yourself for a commodity job, which means I'm looking for the person that I can hire at the cheapest rate who can do these specific things. I'm not hiring people based on value. If I'm marketing for value, then I'm an organizational linchpin. And if you have an opportunity, one of the best books you will probably read in your career is Linchpin by Seth Godin. He is a marketing guru. And he talks about who the linchpins are in an organization. The linchpin is the piece that holds the wheel on. It's the simple little cheap 2-cent pin that'll hold a wheel on a wagon, on a bicycle, whatever it happens to be. But the linchpin in the organization is the person who the organization cannot survive without. That's what I want all of you to become. Or that's what I want people to realize you already are. So let's take a look, because LinkedIn happens to be the most popular marketing, and look at a couple overview statements. So the first one, a dynamic leader with the ability to drive change and a proven track record of accomplishments in various areas. Who wants to interview this person? Who would probably continue reading their profile? What industry are they in? What career? What job? What do they do? This could be the world's best cobbler, and you can't tell from their description, because it's just too vague. 15 years of experience leading teams of 10 to 200 staff members. Managed 30-plus projects ranging from 100,000 to 1.7 million. What do we like about this?
Specific.
Okay, there's some specifics. It looks like there's some quantifiable numbers that give us kind of an idea of size, at least, and experience, inferred experience. Where is this failing now? So there's no value, there's no accomplishments. Did I manage between 10 and 200 people over my 15-year career? Which is slightly 1.23 maybe per year. 30-plus projects at a given time, or total in my career. How many of them were 100,000? How many of them were 1.7 million? And does it even matter? There are companies and there are groups where a $250,000 project is huge and is critical and strategic. There's other organizations that won't fund anything less than $5 million. So again, where's this person's value? The other one, developed and implemented change and problem management processes that led to a 25% incident reduction over 18 months. What do we like about this? Value, it's very specific. Now, is there anything we don't like about this? What part of this might scare a lot of us?
How big was the number that it reduced?
Okay, so there's nothing that says size. I want to know a little bit more about that. This is awfully specific, isn't it? I mean, this is hitting one area. Can you imagine your LinkedIn profile having this as your lead-in? Aren't you afraid of missing opportunities that might not be directly related to problem management? And that's what's holding us back, is the fear that we're missing out on something. So instead of focusing in on the value we provide, we try and show vague value to everybody. And that just doesn't work. Like, imagine if a company was saying, I sell bags, because you don't want to miss on the market. Okay, do you sell sandwich bags? Do you sell waterproof bags? Do you sell garbage bags? Do you sell body bags? Completely and totally different industries, different products. Which one are you great at? So with that, you need to determine, again, why you're unique and start to tell your story. So where's your story being heard? Because everywhere that you have contact with people, people are making an active decision whether to flip their mind on and listen to you or ignore you. And that is every interaction of every part of your day, even your social interactions. All of your project work, all of your artifacts, everything that lives past you or past your involvement still carries your name and reputation. Any blogging, emails, and appropriately your social networking. So one of the things I do anytime I'm giving this presentation is I like to look up the board members or other people involved with an organization and see, what could I find out? If I knew nothing about them, what would I find? So here's a collection of a few of the things from professional organizations that I found. First, this person is clearly, has 4 certifications, which I understand 2 of them, but I could look into them if I wanted to know more. They don't have a positioning statement, so I don't know what it is they're trying to do. I don't know where to fit in. I don't have that lead-in that tells me how to read something or how to use it. But I know they're actively involved in nonprofits and taking leadership roles. I also know that they have a senior and strong position in the companies they've been with. And if I look at their last 5 positions, 4 of them either have awards or personal recommendations. So I'm going to take those jobs more seriously because other people are speaking to the quality that this person provides. And so they seem to have a nice balance between career and volunteer if that's what I'm looking for. If I want to expand and look at Facebook, I can see that they have 108 Facebook friends and who they are, so maybe that's okay, maybe that's not. Again, it's the audience and how I'm reading this. I know that they like the Montgomery County Animal Shelter because that was publicly posted. They're a member of PMI UK's Facebook page. And that they got a Turknet Leadership Character Award, or they were nominated for it. So from this standpoint, I've got a pretty good foundation. You know, nothing really bad. And it really tells me kind of who this person is. So I'd give them a gold star for the day. This person, not so much. I go to theirs, and what do I have? Well, they were so important. They thought so much about everything that they've done that they included a PDF file as a little bitty image in the overview. So now I have to download a file if I want to know anything about them. So why am I even going to bother continuing? I mean, imagine going to an executive overview and having this person say, here's my executive overview. Download this PDF. It's 16 pages long and read along with me. I know you've been in meetings that's happened. Another person, so I only pasted the first 3 paragraphs of their overview. There were 2 more long paragraphs and they just didn't fit, telling me everything I could possibly want to know. And also, if I look at their social presence, I can kind of see who they are. And unfortunately for this person, great person, valuable leader in their industry, but every picture that they were in had a drink in their hand. So if I'm in the beverage industry, I may have found my new person. But if I'm not, you know, maybe that's going to turn people off. So you've got to decide, especially when you're working with millennials. Millennials share everything, and all the Gen Xers like myself just cringe going, how can you overshare? But that's the new world. And they're sharing, so they have to find ways of sharing and blending their personal and professional lives perfectly for anything that they're going to do. And it's something we're all going to have to get used to. On another person, their LinkedIn profile was pretty much blank. One job, one connection. I go to Facebook and I can tell that they like the beach and wildlife and got to see a few photos, but just nothing there. So this is a case where almost having nothing and showing nothing might have been better than what was shared. So with this, we need to build a foundation for great stories. So the first thing is, the top of our pyramid is the call to action. What is the outcome? What is it that you're looking for? What do you want? In order to get that action, you've got to connect with people. So what is your marketing message? How do you get the people to do what it is you want them to do? Next, you've got to be able to demonstrate. So your marketing message, you've got to be able to back it up. You've got to have stories. You've got to have examples. So you've got to pull this together. And then the part that nobody will ever see but you is your supporting facts. All the information that you've acquired, all the stories, all the taglines that you can then assemble into these stories and examples. So when you're doing this, your marketing has to be consistent. It's got to be appropriate for the audience. If you are going to a young, hip startup company and everything has you in professional suit and very formal and showing a very formal background, just on looks alone, people may not think you're of value. Whereas the reverse is true. If I'm presenting myself in jeans and a t-shirt for every job I've had, I'm probably not going to get a corporate job in finance or the legal team. Just not necessarily going to happen. And you need to build a marketing kit. Start small with things like business cards. Everyone here can get business cards for free or almost free online. Everybody should have their own personal business cards, because you don't always want to represent who you are with the company. There's times where you need to represent yourself outside of your company image and more personally. You need to have overviews, which we're going to talk about. A resume is a given because we unfortunately can't get away from them right now. Case stories are examples and stories that you can bring up and tell in meetings, in hallway conversations, in the networking that happens after this. Collect testimonials anytime you can, because anytime you can say something in someone else's words rather than your own, it carries more power. You may consider putting up a professional website or a blog to share information, to build out your brand, share things that are important. Your LinkedIn profile is critical. And then any supporting materials you might need. So let's look at a couple goal and positioning statements. To work with a reputable company that emphasizes high level of productivity, creativity, strong work ethics, excellent professional demeanor in all dealings, genuine interest in client growth, and recognition and good remuneration of hardworking employees. How do we like this as a positioning statement, whether it's at the beginning of LinkedIn or the start of a resume or maybe a cover letter?
It's too long.
Too long? Okay. This is the audience participation time, so everybody gets to jump in. Yes?
Does it talk about them when it talks about a company?
Absolutely. This is all about what you can do for me. I'm not interviewing for you. I'm not interviewing for you. I want you to tell me what you're going to provide me. There is absolutely no value here to the person who decides and makes the decisions. And that's, I wish that wasn't a common mistake, but often it is. What about an experienced project manager with over 6 years of project consulting, design, and development experience, resulting in increased organizational performance? Better? What do we like about it?
You get a quantitative value, you got 6 years.
Okay? It clearly tells you where they are in their career. They've said that they're focused on increasing organizational procedures. How many people here have participated in a project where the goal of the project from the very beginning was to make the organization worse after you had completed it? Now, some of us have done that inadvertently, or we've had such bad projects or goal statements or support that it's happened. But basically, all they've given you is the definition of a project, which is to implement positive change in an organization. So again, there's pretty words, but the words are hollow. If I go to the next slide, how many of you are even going to remember this person? As opposed to somebody who is a digital technologist focused on helping marketers strengthen their client relationships through implementations of enterprise content management, e-commerce, and web analytics. What do we like about that? I'm seeing some nods.
It shows value.
Clearly, focused right in. They are saying exactly what the value is and how they're going to deliver it. Now, you look at this and you're like, wow, look at all the possible jobs this person could be alienating themselves for. It's true, but it's going to resonate with the job that they're most likely to get hired for. It's going to resonate with the job that they most likely want. One of the best advice that I saw about doing online dating is stop trying to appeal to people. Instead, try and aggravate the people that you aren't going to get along with. It seems contrary, but if you can really aggravate everybody that you know isn't going to be a match, what ends up happening is you will attract the company or the person that shares your common hatred, which means that you're focusing in on what the common value is in that. It's an interesting technique, but apparently it makes dating profiles 80% more effective. So we're all stuck doing resumes. There's just no way around them right now. So let's look at a couple of ways of doing resumes wrong or doing them better. So yeah, no. Instead, what you want to do is you want to think about it. You're presenting this content to an audience. They need to be able to read it and understand it and internalize it as quickly as possible. So give them a context. What is the company? Maybe what your title is. If you have different titles, then break it out. What is it you did? Give some sort of context. And then anytime you can, the value statements or what was done for those. So there's a lot of different ways of doing this. Resumes have one purpose: to get you past HR or a recruiting company. That's it. It's to get you past the gatekeepers to say you're qualified enough that you get to speak to a human being. So a few tips. First, anytime you can, you really need to demonstrate the value to a past or a future company. So the first thing is, what is the value you deliver? Because if I see you delivered value to a certain company, I can infer that you're going to deliver that value to me. So you're writing the value statement using your past as an example, but implying that you can do that again, which you should be able to unless it was just a fluke, in which case, well, give it a shot. If you can't demonstrate value, then the next fallback is to talk about niche, critical job skills, or subject matter expertise. There are organizations that are looking for agile. They're looking for certain technologies, PeopleSoft or other HR systems, or HR in general. If you've got a niche skill, like healthcare and finance are the two most restricted that believe if you weren't a janitor in a bank, you can't work in IT projects for a bank. Healthcare is even worse in my opinion. So you want to expand and explain for the position what that niche experience is. And again, when people are checking your resume, they're looking for those keywords, so you've got to be able to get past the checkers. And you notice there's no third goal. Do those and then anything else really won't matter. Have somebody check your resume. No matter how many times you do it, you're going to find more and more mistakes, wording changes. It's inevitable, but you don't want people to easily recognize spelling, grammar, verb tense, and tones. Now, there's a lot of different ways of writing resumes, but as somebody who reads a lot of resumes, it should be in past tense. Any of your jobs is talking about stuff you've done. So if you're talking about skills you can do, then that can be more present or future tense. But when you're talking about your past, this is stuff you did, this is stuff you accomplished, so it needs to be past tense. And this will drive people crazy. No more than 2 pages. Because I hate to break it to you, I was on a panel Saturday with recruiters and a hiring manager, and they said they didn't read past the second job. They certainly didn't read often into the second page. So cut it short, abbreviate it, and focus in on your value. I've been working well over 20 years now, and I can fit mine onto 2 pages, so if I can, almost anyone can. I, except for recently, averaged a job every 2 years because I get bored. Everything you communicate has to sell you for the single position you're applying for. So I know this is frustrating, and I'm going to show you a shortcut because people are like, I don't want to have to rewrite my resume every time I apply for a new job. That's all you have, then you're going to have to. It will make a huge difference. But I'll show you a shortcut, one that I like better. And think about movies when you're writing your resume and when you're writing taglines. You need to think in terms of taglines, not all the details in the world. You're not trying to explain your entire career history or even your entire value. You're trying to get somebody so curious in you that they want to talk to you in person. Imagine if a movie preview said, please join Bruce Willis on an exciting adventure where he finds out that he's dead at the end of the movie. It'll be awful. Who would want to go and see that? But instead, look for the taglines, look for the excitement, look for the ways of doing it. So here's 2 value statements. Developed a B2B ordering and warehouse management system which resulted in an 800% increase in productivity. Anyone interested in talking to that person? A little bit. Clear value, maybe not in the industry. Design a new product platform which decreased development time by 80% and client startup costs by 40%, while increasing profit margin by 135%. Anyone interested? Have I told you the industry? Have I told you the context? Anything like that? So these are headlines underneath a job, underneath a project, in a case study to get people excited, to get people interested. So I really, really passionately hate resumes, as you're probably going to tell by the end of this. Because a resume, all it is a chronological log of your past experience. How many people feel that their current job is the most important thing that's ever happened in their life? In some ways I do, or portions of it, or the past job. We hop around, we do different things, we've learned throughout our career. And what I did 5 years may be more relevant. So a chronological listing, it's useful just to see what I've done, but it really doesn't sell me the way I want to. So and cover letters are often used just to state what was left out in your resume. Hi, I'm perfect for the job because of these 3 bullets. Why isn't that the lead in your resume? Why doesn't your resume imply that those 3 bullets are true? I shouldn't have to have a cover letter to do that. So what I like is 1-page overviews. And the overviews follow a principle of a rule of 3s. So first, they sell you the way you want to be sold. They're easy to adapt to each opportunity, and they're memorable and more effective. I actually have work for the company I do now because my overview was passed along to so many different people because they had never seen it before, and they're like, wow, you got to see what this guy did, that one of them was like, I want to talk to him. And that's how I got the job. So there's a pattern of 3 in these, and you can modify it. Anytime you can express things in 3s, that's about people's attention span. So some sort of a lead-in and positioning statement, a question. For this role, what are the 3 things that the best candidate will do exceptionally well? And then go on to explain it. Or a value statement saying exactly where you fit in. This can be 1 or 2 sentences, this could use bullets, however you want to do it. Then I like 3 headlines, 1, 2, 3. 3 bullets saying that headline is correct. In this case, if I'm delivering high return on investment e-commerce applications, I need 3 bullets. And then I pull comments from my feedback, from annual reviews, from LinkedIn, anything I can publicly share, and I let someone else's words speak for me. Now in this case, I'm going for jobs that aren't going to be as put off by color, formatting, or graphics. You may be, if you're going for a law firm or a finance job, probably the graphics are going to freak people out a little bit. A little too black and white world there. If you need to, it's okay if you need to make a generic one that says, and here's the key skills, here's the key subject matter expertise, the niche skills that I bring to this position, it's okay to list those on a generic overview when you need to. So the reason this works and how to know a good one works is it'll be visually appealing. It's easy to follow. You look at it and it's more like reading a marketing slick or a marketing pamphlet. You could do a pamphlet or bifold or trifold if you wanted to. It tells a story that is directly addressing a core audience's need. I can't tell you how many of these I've developed over the years, and they constantly evolve. I'm going to develop one for business architecture because that's an area that's emerging. People are starting to understand, and it's something I do really well. But 5 years ago, it wouldn't have done me any good. People would be like, huh? I don't know what that is. And again, it leaves the audience wanting more. This is more like a movie poster than it is a detailed 17-page resume that we all love to read. And I've got examples of all these online. And please, if you've got questions, comments, please stop me along the way as we're going through this. Yeah.
Is that your first page of your resume, or is that?
Good one. So if I'm applying through a gatekeeper, an HR department, a recruiter, some department that's trying to check things off, then yes, I put this as my first page. I have a 2-page resume, and then I also have an addendum that's pretty boring that says additional skills and industry experience, which is a 1 to 2-page laundry list of every keyword their system is going to filter out, just so that it'll hit the keywords and I'll pop to the top. But it's a clear differentiator that that's different formatting, that's not part of my resume. If I'm applying to somebody, or since most jobs are received through networking, it's going to be what I hand people, it's going to be what I forward to them. I'm not going to send them a resume unless they demand it. And if I do, I'm still going to tag an overview, a single overview on top. And I use the overviews more times than not instead of a cover letter. I might have the email text be the cover letter introduction, but again, I want people to open it and get curious and get excited. And then if I need more information, I can direct them back to my website. They're going to go anywhere. They're going to click About Me, and if they want to look at case studies, if they want to look at some other notes, they can. It's up to them. I'm letting them drive how much to read. I'm not forcing information on them. Yes?
Did you get permission for those quotes that you have on there? Or
Absolutely. Yep. So I, for the longest time, did a quarterly satisfaction survey. Everyone I worked with, everyone I worked for, I sent out just using the online survey tools, 5 brief, I agree, not agree, Likert scale questions, and then anything I can do better, anything that I should continue doing well, a bright spot. And then I said, could you please share a testimonial that I can share? And then a bullet that says, share with your name, with your company, anonymously only. And then I usually pick only the ones that at least they've got to share my name. I can understand company, but an anonymous quote loses credibility. If they are posting on LinkedIn, they have given you consent because you're posting that. That is a public display, so that is permission. But absolutely, you don't want to, and that's where annual reviews come in a little tough. You know who wrote it. You can reach back out to the person and say, hey, that was a great comment. Would you mind if I shared it? And I do that. And there's people in the room who can vouch for that. I'm like, thank you so much for the feedback. That's awesome. Would you mind sharing it on LinkedIn? Because I'd love to share that feedback with other people because you're speaking to a part of my career that I don't have a testimonial for yet. and that's a shame. Okay? I love case studies, because case studies, if nothing else, by writing them, it forces you to tell your story. These are very easy, where you can hand them during an interview or during a project kickoff meeting or something as an example. Sorry, not a kickoff meeting, but as they're planning who the project team will be or they're looking for people to lead. And again, it's the rules of three. I really like doing a problem-solution format or a context outcome, so that people know why we were doing this, what is it, and what actually happened. So with that, I might have, here's what the challenge was. So in this case, Spiderware needed a system to serve 40,000 employees in 600 stores. 1 to 3 bullets explaining the detail, either what I did, the context, what the challenges were, and then what the result was, and then these are the value statements. And if you notice, I'm using the same content that I might have as bullets in my resume. So I pull out fragments of my case studies and use those in my resume and in my overview. So that's where you're building, it's object-oriented resume and marketing. You're pulling out objects that you can assemble however you want. And then again, I love using other people's quotes. In this case, it was the COO who provided feedback, so I've got a portion of his quote. You can do this, these are done in PowerPoint for me, grab a template. I would always recommend grabbing a template from the internet, a new template, even if you have to spend a couple bucks and buy one, versus the ones that are built in, because when you see something that's built in, automatically people will think, well, okay, that's just every day. You've learned to tune these things out. So find something, maybe customize it a little bit, it's pretty easy. Use headlines, use feedback, and then the design and layout, all of this has to be consistent. So figure out what are the colors you like, what's the format, how formal are you going to be. If you have a formal career background and want to stay, these should be primarily white background with smaller colors. I really think everybody, and this would have saved me, especially if you're going for PMP certification, BA certification, and you're trying to rebuild your project history and experience, the earlier you can start a tracking matrix with every employer, every project, the skills, the technologies, anything you want to track. A spreadsheet is a great way to start. Those who are a little geekier can put it in a relational database, however you want to do it. But the sooner you can track, the easier this is. It also then helps you by looking at the intersection. If you said, okay, I'm going to be focused more in marketing here, so what are all the areas where I was touching a sales or marketing position? It then helps me quickly identify where I should look for my stories, where should I look for my feedback, so I can assemble an overview that matches that. And I'll be the first to admit, I did this religiously when I was first in my career. It's fallen off quite a bit, and now I'm trying to go back and build it, and it's a lot harder. So, if you really don't want to have a better job, here are the top things you should do to help throw your career off track. And the key word here is unintentionally. Insert your social life into your professional image. Millennials do it intentionally or don't draw a distinction, so everything has to match perfectly. Gen X and older tend to not do it or not do it very well. So you've got to be careful. Who do you allow to become a Facebook friend? What about stuff you're posting to Pinterest? Is it furthering your career? Is it part of you? It's okay if you mix it, but you want to do it in a controlled nature. And it's a hard life. I have professional people that I am connected to on a social basis, and I have people that I will not accept requests from because they don't cross that threshold that I trust them enough that they can see me in both lights. And if you don't believe this, pick a few of your coworkers, search their name on Facebook, and see what they're posting. And see if you were going to bring them onto your project team, or you were starting up a special team in your organization, would you hire them? Would you ask for them? And if the answer is no, take a look at yours. And also, look at it. There's a tool in security that lets you view your profile, and LinkedIn does it almost all of the places, as an anonymous user. Look at that, because you'll be surprised how much stuff pops up. And even every time I do this presentation, I go back and double check mine, and sometimes I'll find stuff that I was like, wow, they changed the policy, and now my vacation photos are popping up. Not that they're bad, I just don't want to share my Mediterranean cruise with the world. Try to be everything to everybody. Because how could you go wrong? Try and just appeal to the masses, and you can't miss because it's so vague and so unintentional. So really, you got to do the opposite. You've got to hone in on the company, on the group, on the role that you're looking for. Go ahead and misrepresent yourself. Take extra credit. Claim more value than you can defend when you get in. Claim stuff that's misleading, like online certificates and degrees that you didn't have to take a class or a certification test for. People will look it up. I know you can get a doctorate online for about $250, but somebody's going to check, and you might get away with it for a while, but eventually it will come crashing down. Assume your audience has your viewpoint or awareness, and this one's the hardest thing. It's called the hindrance of knowledge, and this also plagues us in every project. And I talk about this inevitably in almost any presentation, any topic I give. You can't unknow what you know right now. You know what you meant. You can't proofread your own stuff. So everybody in this room has had a different perception about everything I've done. They've internalized different messages. They've thought about it. There's things where they saw and they're like, I will never talk to or hire this person because of what I just saw. But I don't know that because everything looked great to me because I'm really happy with everything I've done. So you've got to step outside and think about what is the person across the table thinking about this? What is the other person perceiving? And try and adjust that value to them. Or you can just do nothing. Because apathy is absolutely the best policy when you want to go nowhere in your career. Sit back and, like we started with, how many people here had interviewed today? And I got one hand. Everybody here is constantly interviewing. You're going to meet people after this. You're going to network. You're going to grab business cards and follow up with people and get excited. Those are all interviews. Your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile right now is marketing you whether you like it or not. So let me jump back to the conclusions. Marketing is the exploitation of your uniqueness. So the sooner you find out what makes you unique and special, the faster you can exploit it. This is a hard and painful process. I've had the advantage of working over 20 years with a branding and marketing specialist, and I've applied his theories to career, which is where a lot of this content was generated. And nothing has frustrated me year after year with the person sitting across the table going, it's not simple enough. It's not focused enough. I don't know what you do. And yes, sometimes it's being intentionally difficult, but it's still a valid point. It took me all this time to come down to, I've narrowed it, I can't get any simpler than this at the moment until I change who I am, which is I automate, or I simplify, I automate, and I educate. Everything I do follows those. I simplify everything I possibly can because I hate repetition, I hate waste, and inevitably, I get all that stuff out. I automate anything that's left. Anything that doesn't require a human's decision, I'm going to automate. But I love to educate. I don't want to go in and solve the problem for someone. I want to teach them how to solve the problem. I want to teach an organization how to grow. So by knowing those three things, I now know exactly which opportunities fit me and which ones are going to make me miserable. But it's taken 20 years to get it down to 3 words. And most people probably never will. And I even get pushback that Dusty doesn't agree that those are the right 3 words, but that's okay. Self-marketing needs to become part of your everyday. It already is. Do you want to control it? Do you want to influence it? Or not? I mean, for parents out there, this is the difference between working with your kids, setting up experiences for them, looking and taking an active role in their lives to help shape them, or completely ignoring them all the time and just hoping they turn out all right. And that's what we do with our careers. We're teaching taking our careers and treating them like unwanted children. And they're extremely important. We spend more time at work than we do with our family. So why aren't we putting that much effort into it? And once you get there, you need to focus your value and try and connect personally with people. Help them understand who you are, what value you're presenting, why it's important to them. It may not happen now, but I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten years later where someone says, I've got an opportunity, and I don't know if you're interested, I don't know if you're the right person, but you're the only one I thought of who might be able to step in and do this. And sometimes it's been great, other times I'm like, okay, I can help them figure out who they need, but they're messed up and I can't help it. There's too much. So online, there's some additional resources. What makes a good story? 3 steps to getting a better position. Some book recommendations. Let me take a second. A Brand Called You is a book written for people who they are the brand. If you think about a doctor or a real estate agent or somebody, they are the brand. Well, you are your brand too, and the principles are the same. I mentioned Linchpin. Made to Stick, Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. Phenomenal book. Chip and Dan Heath are amazing authors. Their book Switch, for everyone who's doing organizational change, is one of the best ones ever. What Color's Your Parachute is kind of being replaced by StrengthsFinder 2.0, but basically what it does is it says it helps you focus what your core skills are, what your value is, and everywhere that it could be applied. And StrengthsFinder actually does that through a test and really gives you insight as to who you are. So that one's getting rave reviews as well. And stay connected. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I've got business cards on the table in the middle, so please feel free to grab one. Again, this content was my sole responsibility. If you're interested in watching this or sharing this with friends or downloading the presentation or any of the other ones I've given, they're all available online. I give them away free of charge, so they're there for you. And again, I encourage you to donate to your local pet shelters and rescue groups, but no animals were harmed. So we've got about 8 minutes before we clear. So I want to open this up for discussion, questions. It's been kind of a quiet crowd, and everyone's recovering from getting here by 5. So questions and comments. Yes, ma'am.
So, a lot of times when I'm trying to connect with the hiring manager, I'll send them an email and say, I've applied for the job, these are the reasons why I think this is the perfect fit for me. Is that overview a better way to connect? Because sometimes we don't open attachments.
Yep.
It's not a, so it's
Absolutely, and get them excited. So instead of saying I'm the perfect person for the job, that immediately is going to turn my mind off. Because everybody's saying that, and the people who say it have rarely ever backed it up. It's just one of those mental filters that so many people say I'm perfect for this position, and then you read and you're like, but you drive a dump truck. You can't do project management. I mean, yes, you're on schedule every day, but it's not the same thing. Lead it in with a question. Or a few questions. Say, I saw this position, and I'm really excited about being part of this team. Make it assume that you're going to get the job. Make it I'm going to be part of this job. I cannot wait to meet the team and start contributing in this area. Did you know that I completed a similar project like this for this company? That in this other company, I helped them set up a PMO to address this very thing you're looking for. Those are where your bullets come in. And then say, if you want to know more, I've attached my overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I really look forward to working with you and meeting the rest of the team. Make it forward-looking, make it exciting, and then follow up with them. But don't leave it there. Work your network. Find out who they work for, or who works for them. Find other people in the organization. Search and browse everybody on LinkedIn that's working for that company, and find people you've got a connection with, or a recent connection. Last week, somebody emailed me and said, hey, I just applied for a job with this company, and it turns out the new manager used to work with you, and you two are connected on LinkedIn. Is there anything you can tell me about it? And I was like, no, I can't because I've never really worked with them, but I know them, and here's what I know. And said, maybe here's some people who could. So use that network. Use whatever you can to find. Because ideally, you want the hiring manager, the person making the decision, to be pestered by their team to hire you. Make them push. Make them market for you by getting them excited. Even if you do it informally, saying, I'm really interested in this role. Can you spend 30 minutes for coffee, my treat? I just want to learn about the team, because if I really can't deliver value, then I want to pass on this. But I'd really like to learn more. And most people will do that. There will be about half that are like, I'm too busy, I can't do it.
Thank you.
Yes?
So in the beginning, you started out with including a call to action on your LinkedIn profile. What do you do if you're in a position already and you don't want others to know that you're calling out, like, I'm on the market, I'm looking? What's your call to action if you're passively on LinkedIn trying to look at that?
So it's a refinement of what your call to action is. It's not that you are publicly saying, I want to get out of this company, I'm trying to get away from somebody. Instead, you're looking for a better position where you can deliver your value, your uniqueness better. So ideally, if somebody in your organization saw your LinkedIn profile, they should be calling you and trying to transfer you internally. Because is it the company you're trying to get away from, or is it the job? So if it's a job, it's the same call to action, which is offer me something better. Offer me something that would allow me to do this for you. So you don't necessarily want to lead in and say, hi, I'm actively looking for a job. Okay, that's a clear call to action. So the call to action can be implied. Is I'm ready to deliver the following value to an organization. Or if you are looking for somebody that can do this, this, and this, I'm your person. And how you phrase it also will depend on your organization. Some managers freak out and will look, and if they get the hint, you could miss opportunities. So maybe you want to roll back. My call to action is much more passive. I'm very happy with where I am. So instead, I'm positioning myself just to get people excited. So if they're interested in anything I can do, whether it's at work or presenting, then it's an implied contact me to learn more. And that can even be is contact me to learn more or contact me to see how I can help you. And no manager should really object to that. I mean, it's LinkedIn. That's the whole purpose is networking. Tom.
You have a lot of stuff gathered together over 20 years. For those of us who are not so future-oriented, where would we start? Where's the places that you see the best return on investment?
Absolutely. So, and this is the hardest part. This is something that you just keep chipping away. Start with whatever you're proudest of, or whatever's most recent, your last couple jobs, because inevitably that's what people are going to look for. And start refocusing and saying, what value did I deliver? What are the headlines? If I was being interviewed for the front page of my local newspaper, what's the headline that they're going to lead with? That's what you got to figure out. So start going through and just bulleting the cool things you've done. And then start turning that into your marketing message. Refine your LinkedIn profile starting at the top down, because we've already learned that most people won't read past that. Start working on your resume and set goals. Because if you have a timeline-based goal, just like you know in project management, you're more likely to reach it. So I will refine this job's value statements by next Friday. I will have 6 positive headlines or proof points by this. I will have my core skills or industry experience or value proposition. Like for you, you have a wealth of experience. That's one of your hallmarks. How do you go back and pull the best parts, the best and most proudest parts, and only tell the ones that you care about? If you worked as an engineer for several years, but you really don't want to get back in that, don't tell anyone. I mean, don't advertise yourself for something you hate. I've done sales support and been in marketing groups, and I hate it. I'm not good. I mean, I'm okay. I do well at it, but I don't want to do that. So all that's hidden in my resume. I don't tell anybody about it. I hide my project management experience because although I have great respect for the profession, I just don't like doing it anymore. And I don't want to. So I keep that done, and instead I take the skills that were great for a PM and I use them as a team lead, as a manager, as an inspirational lead, because that's where I am in my career. I'm going to lead, I'm going to build teams. So I can take my experience building a project team and imply that I can do that when I run the department. Now that I've built a department from scratch and ran it for 3 years, I now update and use those proof points instead, because now it's a little more recent, it's a little more tangible. So start with the value points and just chip away every day, every week as you can. Yes?
Well, what's your advice for a resource like myself and a lot of other people out here who are wear multiple hats? In other words, I'm a PM, a VA, sometimes a blend of both, sometimes I do one, sometimes I do the other. Just depends on the contract with the consultant.
Yep.
So across the board, you really are a consultant, and when you go into the company, you do what they need you to do.
Figure out what you love. If it's PM, focus on PM, and then the BA will be implied. If it's BA, hide the PM part and use the PM to say how organized and schedule-driven you are, task-oriented, however that happens to be. If you love being a hybrid, advertise yourself as a hybrid and find those roles. I work for an organization that hates hybrids, so you've got to know who you're going for and whether you'd be happy. A lot of organizations live by them. So definitely start to refine and create multiple overviews. When you write the overview, your passion is going to start to come out. Simply by writing it down, it's going to start to tell you. And then we've hit the end of the time, so we had one quick question, and then I'll be available after this for anything else.
Aside from LinkedIn, what other avenues do you recommend for looking for opportunities?
I hear PMI is a really good organization for networking and meeting people and learning new things. Any professional organizations, the group pages, their websites, it really depends. There's a lot of organizations around every career. Belong to and participate in as many as you can. Join online discussions, whether it's in LinkedIn, whether it's in like BA Times, or there's some other PM ones, where people discuss the articles. Get your name out that way. You'll start building a following, building a reputation, and then they'll start asking you. So thanks a lot. I'll be available afterwards, and I hope everybody learned at least one new thing today. Do we have a you want to tell them